if you have fun doing your work, then you will become more effective and you will last longer. And yeah, it's just simple mechanics that can help you as an employee or help businesses to really progress. Only by giving feedback, for instance, which is one mechanic, but we tend to forget it in a corporate session, for instance, that we say, hey Federico, I saw your paper, really good, well done. We're all stuck behind our computers and email, which I find the most stupid tool in life. It's just a note that someone puts on your desk and then he leaves again, but that's basically, and now we do it digitally, but it's email. I really don't like those tools, so I try to gamify stuff, make it either more personal face-to-face or digital, but then we track as much as relevant actions or data that we can. And obviously those mechanics that we use in games, they tap so deep into our brain. I started my second book saying, like, if you would put two children, one from India and one from Holland, at the beach, and you would throw some sticks and stones over there, they will start playing together with those sticks and stones. It's such a connecting tool. So that's what I love about gamification and game mechanics. So I've been working since 2010 for my own. So I started working at Atari. I worked for Diesel 5 years, 2 years in advertisement, and then I got fired thanks to the banking crisis. And it's still the best day of my life because I got this stupid idea to do something with games and companies. And my friends all laughed at me. They said, "But what are you going to do? You have nothing. You don't have a product. You don't have a market." And I said, "No, I know, but I have this crazy idea that I think it might work." And I wrote a book about it, so maybe that will help. So in the past 15 years, we've helped a lot of international companies like Vodafone, Foot Locker, and NM Group, for instance, to improve their customer service or to increase their conversion. I can show you digits, but I can just write down plus 30% or plus 70%, and you will believe me or you won't, and that's all fine. Obviously I put them in because this is also a presentation that I show to my potential clients, but I can confirm that actually recently in the UK we delivered a great result of a 30% increase by just having people play our game. And those were employees of a company. So I focus basically only on employees. So I don't do gamification for consumers, so not for a website or a web shop where people would be hanging around longer because of the game mechanics in there. I always focus on the employees. So I wanted to do a little game with you first, hopefully to get some interaction. This is why I wanted you to close the laptop so you pay attention. So please, you as well, close your laptop. If you know this game, great. If you don't feel embarrassed. I was 12 when this game came to market, so you were minus something probably, okay? This is fine, but it's just a good game. So pay attention, and we're gonna analyze it. So see what happens. There's a little guy starting here, climbing up the ladders, pulling a lever, running up, and getting one of the hooks. And he disappears, he comes back again. And there's a big monkey throwing down big barrels on this building premises, and he jumps over them, of course, not to break his legs. And you can see there's a young lady over here on the left-hand side. So one last time, and then we're going to analyze it. Show you the great sound effects. Okay, now pay attention. The platform flickers, the monkey falls with his teeth on the metal bar, just to show. We call this Schadenfreude auf Deutsch. Yeah, it's a German word for leedvermaak in Dutch. I don't know the word in English actually. Do you know the word? When you see someone suffer and you're like, what is it called?
Sinister.
Sinister?
Cynism.
Cynism. Ah, yeah. So, okay, let's analyze the game. What's the goal of this game?
Save the princess.
Save the princess. Who said it, Federico? Excellent, yes. That is the main goal, the highest goal. But you don't really have access immediately to saving the princess. So which are the obstacles in this game? Why is it so hard to achieve this goal?
Monkey.
The barrels, the monkey, but you don't have influence on the monkey directly. The barrels are right, which one other?
There are different platforms.
Different platforms, so you could say the game design is an obstacle,
Yeah.
but even more concrete, you saw two others.
It felt a little bit like slow also, I would say. But that was because it's an old game, so I guess in some sense the frame rate or whatever you may want to analyze feels a little bit.
Yeah, so you have to
Getting
think
away.
about it and develop a strategy maybe or tactics. But the level design is definitely one, and more specifically you could say the ladders. And there's one more, it's quite obvious. Yeah, the hook, like the hook mechanic, there's basically a routine. You need to get the hooks away 4 times, so that requires pulling the lever, running and timing, jumping at the right moment, grasping the hook. Good. Okay, so those are the obstacles. Then what are the actions that you have to influence those obstacles? What can you actually do or don't, what shouldn't you do? It's all good. Jump. Jump, but not necessarily just jump, but jump at the right time. Right? What else? Move. What else?
Climb.
Or is that it? Sorry?
Climb the ladder.
Climb, yeah, exactly, climb, which you could say is move, but yes, it becomes climbing when you go up. And you could say maybe pull the lever, because that's one other. You're quite an intelligent audience, I can say, because in Holland people are mostly really lost here. And then I tell them, well, basically everything you could do is here, because it's the user interface. You can go up, down, left, right, jump, and pull the lever. So finally, which score elements do we know of? What have you seen? What is like the rewards that was in the game? The princess, what does she do?
Jumps, I think, right?
She jumps down. Yeah, she sheds kisses.
Ah.
Yeah, very good. That's one. What else?
The monkey dice.
The monkey dice, exactly. The Schadenfreude. A lot of people love that.
The sound effect also, I would say.
Sound effects? Yeah, that could be like ping, 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 ping. And when did you hear the ping, 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 ping sound?
When the platform forms, right?
Yeah, because what happened? It added a lot of dinero, points, money. So you got a lot of money. Points in this case. And what happens if you finish this level?
You move on to the next.
You go to the next. And what happens in the next level?
It becomes trickier.
It becomes harder. It goes faster. You get more barrels thrown down. They are more variable, so they change. And what I love about this game especially is that the background is just a picture, okay? So it was just a picture. The only thing the barrels did, they didn't move. It's just the light turning on and off at a different point, like on a fairground, right? If I explain this to young people, they're like, mind is blown, like this is a picture? Yes, it's a picture. It's not a design. This is how old it is. So why do I play this game? Or why do I ask you this? Because it might seem irrelevant. Because I believe if you want to change something in an organization, people need to do something. Or they need to stop doing something that they have done and was not effective or successful and start doing something else. This is why I asked you, or Federico asked you, to come up with a problem that you have, or an issue, because basically we will transform that now into a goal for you. So you're going to do it yourself. So you can open up your laptop now or get a piece of paper and a pen, which is I think even better maybe. So I would like you to ask you to define the goal, or to write it down and keep it in your mind. And basically maybe think about then, what are the most pressing obstacles between you and your goal at this moment. So take 1 minute and write down 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 obstacles that you feel are holding you back. Just a simple exercise. Normally we do this in 4 hours. So we're going to do it really short now, just as a fun, hopefully fun exercise.
I have a question. On the last slide, you mentioned that you increased the conversion rate on a website.
Yeah.
Will that be a goal, or the goal is sales and the way to do it is through the conversion rate?
Oh, that's hard. That's always like a chicken and egg question, I guess. I would say increased conversion could be a goal. And the obstacle could be we have less traffic or no traffic, or we have no demand, or we have no whatever, no knowledge, no one knows us. So we have no brand knowledge, or we don't have budget to whatever. And ideally, these are all things you have influences on. Because if I play this game with Foot Locker, for instance, And they will say, oh, it's raining all the time. Yeah, but we don't have influence on that it's raining all the time. So that's not a relevant obstacle for me, I would say. So try to look at it like that. And if you can, so I'm not going to ask for feedback at this moment because we only have 1 hour. But hopefully you got at least 1, 2, or 3 obstacles that are, in your way. Let's give you a few more seconds. Okay, so if you define those, so these are the 3 main obstacles. Maybe it's good to define, and I'm going to explain why I do this. Like, what have you been doing so far, if anything at all, that was actually adding up to those obstacles? Because you see a lot of organizations, they do something out of routine, yeah? So, we've been doing it like this for 10 years. Yeah, it's becoming less and less effective. Ooh, well, maybe the world changed in those past 10 years, so you need to let go of this, what you have been doing all the time. But it feels so comfortable because it was a routine. You really love it, you like it, because it brought you really far up to level 10, where everything goes faster and faster. But this is all about game design, that you realize, hey, what I have been doing doesn't work anymore. I should change my routine. I should think of something else now. So be honest and think about what you've done so far in the past, whatever period, that actually maybe created those obstacles, or at least doesn't help you to overcome those. I'm also saying this because most managers at corporates, bless you, that also feels like a reward, huh? If you get the sneeze out. No, but most managers, they will only give you more work. If they did that to me, I always said, so okay, what am I not going to do anymore then? Because I only have 40 hours in a week. So you tell me, you want to prioritize my work? That's impossible. So there's things you should let go, which is scary, but it's fine. It's like, your relationship dies, it's hurtful, but yeah, it's maybe sometimes better to let go and be in this in-between state and then progress again into something new. So because we didn't discuss the negative actions, but you could run into a barrel and you would, what would happen if you run into a barrel in the game? You die. You lose 1 life. How many lives do we have?
3.
In this game? Yes, 3. Not in real life. Big warning. No, so except there's also negative consequences, of course. Okay, so write down maybe the negative actions for yourself, but also now the positive things. What should you do? What haven't you tried yet? What do you think is potentially helping to overcome the obstacles that you just defined? And I'll show you a short video as we go to show you how this session goes normally. So bring the big playground, and I asked the people, we put post-its on the wall, and we discuss it. We have them dot vote, like, okay, this is the behavior we don't want to see, this is behavior we would like to see.
Do you ask people to pick, for example, 3 obstacles, or as many as there
As many as possible. Ideally, we always played with 6 people in the room. That's a good amount. We asked them to come up with as many as possible, but at least 3. So we have 18 obstacles on the wall. We try to cluster them because often people then have the same things, but they write it down differently. You end up with 4 or 5, but at least everyone got their shit out, because with change management, there's always negative people, and you want them in the beginning, so you can say, okay, come, you can come today. Just tell me everything what's wrong about this whole organization. Why do you hate your job? Please tell me. We put it on the wall. Then we choose only 3, because you can't chase 18 rabbits and grab them, right? You can only chase 1 rabbit ideally, but okay, maybe 3. Then we'll divide the group in 2. We say, okay, the negative people go in one room, the positive in another room, and you're both equally valuable. So they write down all their ideas why it's impossible to overcome these obstacles, what's wrong with this organization, etc. And then the other team independently comes up with as much as other ideas. Then we present them to each other, we dot vote, and only 3 ideas per obstacle make it to the table. I never throw away the other ones, but basically you say, okay, we're not gonna look at the other ones. And then we have a change program that we say, okay, in the next 9 weeks, we will stop doing this and we will start doing that. And we will take 1 idea at a time every week. So this is about relentless focus and determination to achieve something eventually, because those 9 actions will lead up to get away of the 3 obstacles and celebrate your success. And the final step we do, because I love brainstorming, but we all know Friday evening we're done brainstorming, we go to the bar, have a great weekend, and on Monday we do exactly what we've been doing for the past 10 years, unless we calculate the potential impact of this change. So I don't put a number to it. I challenge people in the room to say, okay, if we pull away this, what will we save in money? If we achieve this, what will we make money-wise? So how many costs will we spare? How much revenue will we make? It's mostly about that, often. And then, in this case, this team says they will make 46,000 euros more every week if they change their behavior, if they change their routine. This was with a big sneaker chain that I can't name, but they're the biggest in Europe. And they had their best year after they played this with 860 store managers. Individually, so each store manager played this game for their store. So that was quite effective. Obviously, this is just a session. Sorry. So basically, we look at the playground that you have as a company. So I would ask you, what is the main objective for any company or any organization globally? What do you think?
Profits.
Profit. I agree 100%. No bullshit. It's maximize your turnover, minimize your costs. How can we achieve this? Technology, buying buildings, whatever. What is the main asset of any company?
People.
People. Thank you. Yes, it is. Still, with Gen AI, you could argue, is it now people plus AI, or is it just AI in the future? Well, I don't believe in the last thing. I think it's a nice support, right? Copilot or whatever. And then with clients, we try to define, okay, what's your purpose? What do you want to achieve? You want to lower your costs with people inside your organization, or make more money with people outside? Do they need to come more often? Do they have to spend more? Do they have to, whatever they need to do within your web shop, you define here. And then you think about, which are the obstacles then? Okay, you define, hey, what do we want to stop? We want negative reviews to stop. Okay, how can we do this? What are the best ideas? Or we want people to shout out more how great we are. We need some influencers to tell the story for us, so we don't have to do that. Okay, so what's the potential impact? And if you do this, you'll have a game plan for change for your problem. So that was a really brief, condensed session we did now in 5 minutes about hopefully your problem. I hope it was a bit relevant, but feel free to reach out at any moment after this lecture so I can help you. Now, when I was writing my second book, I did a lot of research because I'm a sucker for change management and human behavior. Who smokes or who used to smoke? Is anyone smoking here? No one? Good, guys. I used to smoke for 20 years and I quit eventually by changing my routine. So not just stopping smoking, but also starting something that helped me, not to smoke, but feel better about myself. And basically, any change you want to achieve, it starts with I want to. If people in your organization don't want to change, that's the first start you need to make, because if they don't want to, they're not gonna. And a GameStorm session is a great way to get people into the yes and mode instead of the no but. No, but we've always been doing it like this. Yeah, but what if we do it differently? So that's one. Knowledge is somewhat important. It's interesting that everything I've done for my clients, and I'll show you some cases obviously in a few seconds, everything that I've done, they say, yeah, it's about knowledge. But it really isn't. It's only 25% of the ability or the change. The ability is the third one, like am I able to do it or am I enabled? When I used to work for Diesel, I got a lot of responsibilities, but I didn't get the governance to do it, to execute it. So they said, yeah, we want you to be responsible for digital as well now. And I said, okay, then I need budget and whatever. And they said, yeah, no budget. You need to make sure we'll just get that somehow. And then finally, if you look at yourself, why don't you do things? It's because you're afraid. And it's really on the tiniest level. Why, if I'm in Barca, I've been here for 10 years, why do I never rent an electric bike or a thing? Because I'm just afraid I can't figure out with the app how it works or whatever. And I say, it's too much hassle. It's too much hassle. Yeah. No, it isn't. You're just afraid you don't understand how it works. For me, at least. Okay, so we did apply it really quickly. So hopefully that was somewhat interesting for you as an experience. Now I'll show you how I design games for companies, because it's quite a specialism that I've developed, I guess, in the past 17 years. I didn't study game design, so I kind of invented how to do it, and I interviewed a lot of companies with my first book. So basically you start here with the client that is frustrated, that says, you know, we want to increase our sales or decrease our costs, or we want to do that with stakeholders inside or outside our organization. So that's what they want. Then the stakeholders or the audience is mostly on the opposite side, literally. Because no one wants to change, everyone likes change, but no one wants to change, right? So they're over here. And to make sure that you develop a game concept or put mechanics in place that are actually helpful, you need to know what drives them and motivates them. You can go really, really wrong here if you apply the wrong mechanics for the audience. And it could be because of the culture, yeah? whether you're from India or Spain or Holland, we might have different drives and motivations. Whether you're in marketing or sales or HR, you might have totally different mechanics, motivations, sorry. And we try to match the mechanics with those motivations. I'll give you the slides if you like, so don't worry, you can wait for the end of the picture, but I'll lovely give them to you. So then we think about the content, like what type of content do we need to develop, because it could be, you know, a quiz or a picture, very visual, could be with a lot of words, with text, whatever content we could create. Nowadays, of course, enabled with AI tools. We're going to think about the backend, like what kind of backend should it have, what type of content could be in there, what type of shape, visual shape, should we copy the brand style of Vodafone or Foot Locker or Air France KLM or whichever. In all honesty, that works really, really well. Obviously, the big dream for any game developer is to develop a game that you can white label and then roll out everywhere. And we discussed this actually as a potential internship. But I think it's so hard to get it sold out there because all clients want this, but then a little bit different, which makes it a total different backend structure, a totally different design, etc. So it's really hard. But now, thanks to AI, we can develop stuff faster and smaller, I think. Final question about context is where and when will people play? Because if they're in your office, it will be a different playing environment than if they can do it in the train or while being at home. Also, my experience is if people should play the game in the office, management should play with them, or at least really endorse it that they're allowed to play. Because if you see me playing a game behind my desk, you'll be like, hey, Bart, you need to, make our sales better, improve it instead of playing this stupid game. So it's quite a thing to get it out there. But if you succeed in this whole process, and now I'm done with all the animations, so if you want to take a picture, you can do it. But basically, the whole GameStorm session that we just did, it discloses what type of behavior we want to root out. So we want to root out this behavior, and we want to root in that behavior. So this is the routine will stop, this is routine will start. And basically you do that because of feedback that people experience by playing the game and experiencing the game mechanics that they're in. So we do it always with sessions, because I don't believe in the old days we had this briefing, if you're lucky, from a client. If you're lucky, it was a good briefing. Obviously a lot of times it was a crappy briefing because people are not educated to write briefings or information for a game. So this was a session with KLM, as you can see. But we do it interactively with them. And to give you an idea what type of game mechanics you can choose, this is just a toolkit that I created at some point because I wanted to have my own set. But it's just to inspire clients. Like, what would you like to achieve? Is it about getting something or bringing something from A to B? Is it about helping others? Is it about sharing knowledge? Then what type of objects are in the game? What type of mechanics should be used? Are we going to use time, yes or no? Sometimes it becomes a reading contest, so sometimes time is not the good mechanic to use because if you're a slow reader, you are held back. So it's a lot of things you need to think about before you make the choices. And basically these things fuel whatever you want. You know, we have drivers needs certain convictions or motivations that would help, or if it's about awareness or communication, whatever drive. And then we go from, you know, release after release after release. We give them a mood board. This is what I'm going a bit fast. This is what I would design. So recently we developed a game which was a bit inspired by, I don't know if you remember this series, but it was Lost on an island. This is a very old game, Myst. This is, what is it called? The island? Treasure Island? No, I don't remember. Survival Island? I don't know. What is it called?
Survivor?
Yeah, Survivor, I think. Yeah, exactly. So we tried to combine those 3 TV series for the concept. I wrote out this could be a thing, this is what it would look, this is the back end of the game, so I create an Excel slide so programmers understand what type of content goes in. This could be, you know, visual style, and then we go. I'll skip that for now. So let me share some projects with you. We have about half an hour left. Again, if you have any questions, please interrupt me, so feel free. I see we're going to make it, so I was a bit rushing, but I think we can make it. So these are a few videos, but I'll speak you through the concepts. This was a question from a client who was basically a Vodafone type of client. They have a lot of retail stores, but they experienced that they weren't selling too well to different target audiences. So they defined 3 groups of clients. They said we have emotional shoppers. They care about colors, about shapes, about nice designs. We have technical shoppers and functional shoppers. So as they enter the store, you could click on them. And if you click on them, it reveals a few hints, right? This person walks on sneakers and has a Starbucks cup, so maybe that's a hipster that is like a technical shopper and knows what he wants. We didn't explain that in the game design, but people just started playing with it. It's about 10 years old, this case, so it's really old, but I think it's still a nice case. And it was really played a lot. And successful, because after this case I got to do 3 more assignments for Vodafone, so quite sure they were happy, otherwise they would not use it again. So you click on them and then a sales conversation starts. It's in Dutch, so I apologize, but I will translate. You can say hello in 4 different ways, just a generic welcome to McDonald's, sir, huh? Or hello, how are you doing, or how are you doing, sir, or madam, or depending on, you know, what type of audience you think it is. If you do well, the trust bar will go up. Patience is just time in this game, and you see that the colors will correspond with the buttons here. So basically this person is asking for 2 things about their needs and 1 about the extras. So it's not, this person is not interested in about a phone or a subscription. That's the translation basically. So in this case there's a question about how long do you call often, do you call numbers abroad, or do you want to be able that people call you? This was in the period that you also had those phones that you couldn't call. Oh sorry, clicked. Anyhow. So this game was released for store staff again. They were allowed to play it on Monday morning, and they scheduled it. So that was quite strict, I think, but it was effective in that way. Let me see if I can get my mouse back. No, I'll skip it for now. It really helped people to understand, like, okay, if I have an old man who just wants an answer to have a functional question, I have to address that person functional. And when I was actually doing an assignment for the sneaker chain, they said, yeah, we also have these 3 target audiences, because we have the runner group, it's more like the technical shopper, they want a technically good shoe, but they don't care what it looks like. We have the more emotional shoppers that care more about, look at me with the newest sneakers, and maybe the more functional ones.
So basically you are using the game to retrain the behavior of the staff towards the customer.
Yeah, to connect better with the customer.
And that was identified as an issue for the company, and that's where they were bleeding money.
Yeah, and especially because they didn't close the deal in the end, because customers didn't trust you as a salesperson enough during the sales conversation. They were like, okay, but you don't understand what I'm saying. I don't care about the colors. I need, I don't know, 1 gigabyte, for instance. So And by playing this game, it helped employees to be less afraid of asking the final question, like, can I have your bank pass now? Then I'll finalize the deal for you. Or I'll get the two phones I have in mind for you out, and then you can choose which one do you like. So that was the insight from the HR and learning and development upfront. That was basically the objective.
And what was playing the game enough of a reward for the employees to do it, or was it like decided from the top, everyone needs to play it on Monday?
We launched every game on a voluntarily level.
Yeah.
I actually said with that game concept, can we buy those smileys from Haribo, because they're awesome. I mean, they're exactly on point with the design. And he said, no. Normally we gave away phones, we gave away travels, but now we're going to give away nothing. Just that we want them to play the game. And it was a huge success. They played it on average 38 times in 6 weeks. So we had this capped 6-week period. Again, they were allowed to play it on the floor, shop floor, and they played it every Monday because that's stocking time. So they have in the morning until 12. Is that a kind of?
And
answer
was
to
there a
your question?
leaderboard between employees?
Yes, there was a leaderboard. We did it on a few levels. Regional managers. So regional managers, obviously, they want to have the best sales. So they started also calling each other like, "Hey, dude, you just lost a position," and they would call their whole team like, so yeah, that helped a lot. And the leaderboard helped in this case because it's all sales-driven people, right? It's retail staff, so that helps. But I would be careful with badge. We always say, watch out with BPL, badges, points, and leaderboards, because that's what everyone claims that helps. But it really depends on the target audience.
And winning in the game, did it convert into something in real life or not?
Yeah, definitely. I can't disclose the details, obviously, but again, like I said, this was the retailer was called Bell Company. They got bought by Vodafone. After that assignment, I got this assignment. After this assignment, I got to do another assignment. So if it was not effective, I don't think I would have done 2 or 3 projects after the first one. They would have said, tried it, done it, bought the T-shirt. No, it was very successful. I think probably around 30% or maybe 70%, because I know some details now from another retailer that we did exactly the same game, but a different restyled version, you could say, and it contributed that 30%. So, and you could argue, this is what I would love to investigate, by the way. You could argue whether it's the game, if we would have just put up a poster, for instance, and that's the thing, would it be as effective? I would argue it isn't, obviously, because it's less compelling and people don't look or see a poster anymore. If you look at a video, will that video inspire you to do better sales? Or if you click and invest and I don't know if you read the book Hooked, which is basically about a trigger and action and a variety of rewards. That's game design in essence. It's an investment you do in a virtual world that's similar to your world that you know in your store. So I think that's really the good way to go. And there's a thin line between a simulation, which I don't believe in too much. You've just recently done one. Or something like a book or a folder or a film. I think the fact that we get it in between somewhere really works. So there was one more question in the back.
Yes, so you mentioned that some people may not be motivated by, or different motivations of people, and then you're also mentioning to maybe stay away from leadership boards and systems. So how do you get people to be motivated about this sort of game if you don't have a leadership board, or if it's not even sales driven?
Well, I always think that the real addictiveness should be in the mechanics. So if your routine at work is not really fun, then we should look into the routine. Like, what can we do to make that routine more fun in the essence first, and then gamify that maybe. But it starts a little bit lower or earlier, I guess. It's also a lot about promoting it well. I mean, if you just say, yeah, we have this game, see if you want to play it. That's not going to work probably. We did a game for NN Group Global, so it was, and we needed to launch it at one point globally, which I would never do. We did because client says yes. But they made it part of their whole value month. So they had this month of the values that was about care, clear, and commit, and they wanted everyone to play this game to experience what the values were. And then there was a competition, and it started at the top. So they had the CEO play it with his 7 people in his board. You could invite other people to play. So they said to all the managers, I want you to invite your team and play against your team because you need to bring those values to life. I actually have the case in here. So there's obviously also a lot of communications that you need to do. I think I hit it, sorry. To make the game work. It's not just going to be the game itself, but it's also about choosing the right mechanics for that audience. Because if people are not sensible, if they don't want to see your name or in the top 10, and if you have 10,000 people and you're not in the top 10, you're not on board, right? You drop out already. Oh, I will never make it to the top 10 because there's 10,000 people. So either you make like 100 variations of the leaderboard, like he was the fastest, he plays the most often, she invited the most players or whatever. So you have all these mechanics in a leaderboard setting. Maybe that will then work, but yeah, the leaderboard is only cool for the top 10 that's in it. Look at football. There's 18 teams. The left and the right row. If you're not in the left row, you don't matter. In this game, we didn't have a leaderboard. I think it was more about trying to win the 40 stakeholders in your set, because we did an inquiry throughout the organization with 100 people across the globe and asked them, if you play a game, what type of mechanics do you like? Are you a collector or a seller or an achiever or whatever? I don't really believe in the Bart player types. There are 8 types according to that setting. There are so many mechanics possible, but a lot of people said, yeah, I like to gather stuff or collect stuff, a bit autistic maybe, so I like, the OCD or whatever. So that area, well, we can use that and we can make it collectible and have different cards and people have to collect it. So that was this game, was all about it. It was inspired by a game called Hearthstone, and in all honesty, I'm still hooked on that game. I don't know if you know it, but I play Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I sold about 4,000 hours now. But it was 10 years time. So it was quite successful, and they relaunched this game year after year for 3 years in a row, just to address again, this is how we think about anticipating, or this is about how we think about care, clear, and commit. Because care for you could mean an arm around someone's shoulder, caring for another person could be, I send you all the details, but that's actually not caring, because you send me all the details, that's too much. You should give me just the right amount of information about any question I have. Explain again, has a score, for instance, on 0, 3, 1, care, clear, commit. It's very clear and very committed, whatever. So people, while playing the game, could experience a bit more what values actually mean in terms of actions.
What do you find the most addictive for people in terms of game dynamics?
I'm afraid if it works for you, that randomness and everything that's in a gamble machine is very addictive. I mean, they know, right? If you look at, so especially also in Hearthstone, the fact that you can collect different cards, although it's digital, and you have the loot crates in Fortnite nowadays, for instance, that's really an addictive mechanic for most people, for viable outcome, etc. I think that's the number one.
So it's, on one hand, you want to give players some wins, but on another hand, there is the randomness, so there's a destination.
Yeah, and in Hearthstone sometimes I lose because the AI does the work, basically.
Yeah.
And then I lose because AI makes stupid mistakes. Then I get really frustrated. But that's the whole thing in game design. Basically, you try to get players in this balance between boredom and frustration. This is basically also your life at work. If it's too easy for you, you will get bored and you get bored out. If it's too hard, you can only get more work, you get frustrated and you get a burnout. So every manager should try to create a happy flow. And sometimes you should feel bad, sometimes you feel good, because you can't taste the sweet without the bitterness. We need both. That's a life thing. I mean, it's really that. And I think, yeah, if you can put that in a good game, then people will remain in the flow. But like I said, most play times are 6 weeks for us, because we think the attention span for any topic about 6 weeks is nice. And then you have to do a re-release maybe 3 months later with different content, or just some different card designs, or hey, Federico won the leaderboard, so he can define 3 cards for the next challenge or whatever. I strongly believe in content being generated from employees or customers or whatever, involve them in the whole design process. That's basically why we do it always together with clients in these sessions. Any other questions? Mr. Uletan?
What would be a way in which we can gamify our own lives to self-motivate us?
I think if you apply the game storm that we just did, like super briefly, but you think about, okay, what's my focus in the next 3 months? If you have your curriculum, basically, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm finished, whatever. Define all the actions based on, you could also say, so this is a bit of material for my second book. You could say there's a purpose pyramid. This is your highest purpose. This will contribute to those. So you could say this is the highest goal, and these are the 3 obstacles we just defined, or mini challenges, or whatever. You could say these are your quests that contribute to the end goal of this, achieving your diploma, or getting a new job, or selling 1 million. Define those actions. Put them in your agenda, or in Slack, or in Monday, or Jira, or whatever you use. And make sure you celebrate when you cross one off your list, because that's all about giving feedback to you, like, hey, if this one, you could say, I'm a little bit of a sucker and OCD for numbers, but I would say if there's 9 actions that you need to do in the next 3 months, cross them off. And then you have like a, what is it, the Christmas calendar, running up to Christmas with those little boxes. You get 1 piece of chocolate every time. But maybe set a reward for yourself. And make the rewards maybe growing as you go. We always say with everything, starts to be simple, so start really small. Because if you make it your first achievement is really hard to achieve, then you probably already give up before you start. So make the first one really easy. What's the minimal thing you do? If I give you my book, the hardest part, what is if I give you a book? What's the hardest part? Start reading it, opening it. So what you can do is just open it and lay it down for dinner. That's your little trigger or your little nudge, right? Put it there. I got a book from a Turkish publisher because I do a lot of business with Turkey as well. And they gave me this book as a PDF, and I put it in my agenda every Sunday I have to read it. I didn't do it for like 9 times, and then the 10th time I was like, fuck, I should open a PDF because they want feedback on it. And so I did it, and then I started reading it, and I was like, yeah, it's quite a nice book. I want a physical copy instead of a PDF. So I asked them, could I have the physical copy? And they sent it to me through Amazon. I could have bought it myself. I didn't know they would order it for me through Amazon. But I got it in a really nice package with a card. Thank you, Bart, for being so interested in the book. Here it is. I felt embarrassed. I was like, fuck, I could have bought it. But then I really started reading it, and I felt rewarding, and it's really good. Pia Mater, it's called. It's Latin. It's a very interesting novel thriller about science. But I think you read enough books in the past 16, 18 months for now. But in the future, maybe if you feel time. So this is one, I would guess, gamify your life. Yeah, define your life goals. Define what makes it hard to achieve them. And then think about actions that will actually overcome those obstacles and set rewards. Because every game is like this. An objective, obstacles, actions with positive and negative outcome and score.
And how do you, so when you are on top, you are celebrating your wins, right? What do you do when you are on the bottom?
You mean you just fail and fail
Exactly.
for your feelings?
Yeah.
Well, I always say fail is the first attempt in learning. Yeah, F-A-I-L. So embrace that you didn't succeed. Because if you do it in Mario, because no one maybe realized, but the little plumber over there in Donkey Kong, that's actually Mario, but he wasn't called Mario at that moment. But I accept that you fail, because you can't know everything when you start doing stuff. And I also look at life as like a maze, you know. And you run into this wall, and then you have to go back all the way. But if you go back, bring your experience that you have. Like, hey, that didn't work. Hey, good, I found out what didn't work. It's gonna save me a hell of a lot of time in the future. And it's better than not starting at all. You read it over and over again. It's better to take the wrong decisions and then, you know, adapt if you have to, instead of taking no decision. If you take no decision, the competition will, you know, take over. I used to work for Diesel, I told you. In those days, G-Star was really upcoming with their solid just denim strategy, just throwing denim out there. And we lost in our most important category, which was denim, because we were known for the roughed up pants. But yeah, so I think don't feel bad about your mistakes. How many people did you think I called the first year? Hello, this is Bart. I wrote a book about games, and maybe you were interested. No. Okay, bye bye. And the 91st conversations are shit. And he was like a little shaking and nervous. And then they say Unilever was the first I called, because they had 2 billion to spend. So I thought, hey, 2 billion. If they give me like 1 promille, I can build a game. And they said no, but send us an email. Send us an email. I sent an email, and then 3 weeks later I got this email back, like, yeah, you can meet with Philip in 3 months. I was like, fucking hell, they have long lead times. I met Philip, and he said, the first remark, typically Dutch, was, so how did you get yourself, how did you talk yourself into our building? I said, well, I wrote a book about, book, what is a book about? Oh, gamification. Oh, interesting. Okay, thanks. Well, we don't have anything concrete, but I will let you know. Obviously, they wouldn't. So I kept calling every so and so months, like, hey, I saw this advertising for Axe. Maybe Axe could be in the game because, restful game, blah, blah. And he was interested. But I found out quickly that the media agencies were in between. They were like my obstacles, yeah? And advertisement agencies as well. They were my obstacles, preventing me to get clients. So in the beginning, I visited a lot of advertising agencies, but they sort of all writing down, like, yeah, this Bart's a really nice guy. Yeah, we'll call you. No one called, obviously. Then I thought, okay, fuck those media agencies. I'm going to have to get my own clients directly. So that's when I started calling them more, going to all events where potential clients could be. Giving my funny business card with a funny avatar. In those days, that was quite unique. And I think as well, the insight that it's good to give stuff to them. So I gave my book for free when I read free from Chris Anderson. That inspired a lot. And I went to all the HR events because I found out that HR people are really interested in new technology. But they're not the decision makers, but they're open for conversation, and they will find the money for you. So that's how I guess I define my obstacles in my path going forward. But especially the media agencies, they didn't want to help, and still.
And do you find it more effective so with HR, they were not decision makers, but you were still going after them, hoping that they will influence the decision makers?
Yes, and also because it's easy to beat an Excel or a stupid workshop or a lecture or whatever, so it was easy to score. When I was trying to score with games, the budget are at least $100,000, bless you, at least 100K. Media agency, 100K, they want to spend on TV and then get 10% for themselves or 20%, right? So you're far too expensive. No one wanted me. So I had to go to the source directly. Mm-hmm. And through HR, which was the gatekeeper, you could say, the decision-making unit. So not the decision maker, but they could get me in, get some people on board. And I clearly focused only on corporate. I found out really quickly, I'm not going to do education, not government, I'm too small, they don't want to talk to with one person. And not healthcare, because it's too responsible. I don't want to fuck up in that world. If we don't sell more phones, who cares, right? It's not a big problem for the world. Maybe we should not sell any phones. But yeah, that's something I found out by doing it, It's only do. Especially as an entrepreneur, but I think in life in general. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll show maybe one more game. Yeah, I'll show you this one really quickly. It's the exact same game you just saw from Bell Company. So people entering a store physically, you have to click on them, etc. But we totally redesigned it a year ago into a mobile game where people basically can click on a customer in a kind of store setting. We gave it a really Candy Crush kind of look and feel. So it really feels like a easy pickup, easy short play. It's in the store, it's in the pocket. Still, this is like the biggest obstacle for us, that people need to pull out their phones, go to this website, etc. So we created posters for in the store. They could scan a QR code to the game. There they can play without logging in. I don't even know who plays the game. So, and we don't need to. Sorry. So they just go in, you click on a person, you get a small description like, hey, this is Ruby, she doesn't know a prescription, so which actions can you undertake, which products can you give to her, you unlock certain stuff, you put it in your dictionary, or your inventory, sorry. They can go to PDFs for more learning if you like. Yeah, it really works well.
And in your opinion, from the games or gamified experiences that are now on the market, what is not working?
Sorry, once again?
What is not working from the gamified experiences or products that are currently on the market?
I think you should be careful gamifying corrupt systems. So for instance, if a customer is not interested in your product, he's not going to be interested because you put gamification in it. That's why I don't really believe in gamification for end consumers, but more for store staff or whatever. If it's for an educational purpose or changing behavior, great. Who uses booking.com for their traveling? Okay, who is a genius level 3? You don't even know. Most people are probably, because if you book a flight or a hotel for 10 times, you are already genius level 3. First of all, the name genius. Do I feel a genius because I'm able to book a hotel? I think there's a lot of opportunity there to gamify it in a better way. I know there's a company that did it, Octalysis Group. But there's no amount of gamification if after 10 times booking a hotel, I'm the highest level that's in there. There's only 3 levels, which is insane. There should be like 100 at least. But I think there's so much to win by just giving back feedback to me as a customer saying, hey Bart, apparently you like these types of hotels or these types of travels in Europe. So based on that suggestion, here's some suggestions. What I sometimes get, and as well on Netflix, is suggestions that I've already done on Netflix. I watched the series, then they say, do you want to watch it again after 2 weeks? Why would I want to watch it again? I'm not a retard yet. It takes me maybe 10 years or 10 more glasses, I'll have Korsakoff, but come on. So so CRM, I think there's a lot of opportunity there to gamify your CRM if you start thinking as a game designer, like what is relevant that we can give back to our customers on a consumer level, but it's not being done yet. Same with American Express. If you have the most expensive card, they give you discount for everything. I don't want discount if I can afford the important card. I want no rows. I want taxi yesterday. I want, that's the luxury I want. I don't need discount. I would say don't do discount at all. It has never been proven to, in the long run, help you as a company.
So you really need to understand what the end customer wants,
dive into
like
your consumer.
desires.
Yeah, and I think now with Gen AI tools, with Copilot or other tools, you can do a continuous investigation. I hear a lot of companies that say, yeah, we have a yearly review of how we are as an employer. A yearly review? You should do it every week, but maybe one question. Or every 3 months, whatever. Do it thoroughly every 3 months. That's fine as well. But be in the continuous loop, continuous, not static. That's also the core, I guess, of my second book. You have to transform from a static organization to a dynamic organization. Again, only adventure games are static. You play through the whole game and you're finished. But a good game, like this one, will get you going and going and going because I serve you a new thing. It's like Farmville, you get something new. So I'll end with a result slide. You can take a picture, but obviously, what are you going to know? These are just numbers, right? And I did bring a game, but I think it's not the suitable thing right here. But you could play it if you like. It's called Talent Holder. We designed it for Foot Locker. I can say the name now. But we designed it because they had one sales guy, Gennaro, and he was the best sales guy in Italy, and he sold like a romantic guy, like always. Hey, how can I help you? You are fantastic. I like a newer jeans or newer shoes. And they said, we want everyone to sell like him. And I said, I don't think you want everyone to sell like him. You want everyone to sell like themselves. So I'm an outgoing guy, I am a different. You are maybe more on technical parts, you are maybe more on humor or intelligence. So we developed 50 talents. You get 5 when you shuffle. You hold on to them, and those are not the 5 of you. So you discard one, you grab one from the pack. You discard one, you grab it from the pack. You do it in 5, 6, 7 rounds. And then you held on to 5 talents that you think you have. And then you start discussing, like, okay, I held on to, I don't know, the card. Let's put that one. The cards fast, because I'm a fast talker, I'm a fast buyer, I want to make sure the customer is fast in and out so I can serve more customers. Okay, but how do you do it? So this is like a conversation opener for store stuff. So we did it in Spain as well, in Barcelona. I played it with 200 people. We gave them all their own decks so that they could bring it to the store, and yeah, they did well. It was my second project for Foot Locker, so I guess they were happy with the first. Let's conclude, because people need to go. If you need to go, fine, don't feel embarrassed. Thanks so much for being here. If you have questions, send me an email or through LinkedIn. There's only one Bart Hufen, so I'm easy to be found. And if you want to stay, I'm here for questions.